Joining us on the line right now is Byron York from the Washington Examiner. Byron, I know you're a serious reporter. I'm a recovering reporter, and maybe becoming a bit more cynical as time goes on. The cynics among us might look at the situation and say, "Oh, the president's talking about immigration. They went out and cut this little short-term 6-month deal that kicks the can down the road with the Iranians. Maybe they're really, really, really desperate to talk about anything other than Obamacare." Is that too conspiratorial?
That darn website just acts up every now and then. Well, of course, they're absolutely desperate to talk about anything other than Obamacare. And, I mean, this is not to say that these are not legitimate issues. Obviously, immigration is something that's been fought about for years and years and years. Obviously, the Iranian nuclear situation, very serious situation, all of it deserving serious talk. So that is not to say that. But the problems of Obamacare are just not going away. So that once we have finished talking about immigration for this year, and it doesn't seem to be going anywhere in Congress for this year, Obamacare is still going to be there. And when the website is finished, the problems are still going to be there.
Byron, you pay attention to Capitol Hill on a daily basis. God bless you, someone has to. And we haven't heard you chime in on the nuclear option. Harry Reid last week really changing the Senate as we know it. What are the long-term ramifications from your perspective? And will the Republicans keep the new filibuster rule in place if they win the majority?
I think they'll not only keep it, but somebody's going to expand it. I don't know anybody who believes that this new setup for a simple majority vote for judicial and executive nominations, I don't know anybody who thinks it's going to stay confined to nominations. I think it's going to ultimately extend to legislation, and all this talk about the Senate being the House, I think it's true. As far as Republicans are concerned, for all of this talk about my distinguished colleague or the distinguished gentleman from Arizona, that sort of stuff, the Senate is an eye for an eye kind of place. And Republicans, at some point in the future, are going to take revenge on this, and Democrats will get a big taste of their own medicine.
Yeah, I think people have not really appreciated how big a deal this really was the other day.
Huge, yeah. Because the whole constitutional scheme of two houses of Congress, with the House of Representatives being closer to the everyday passions of the voters because they're smaller congressional districts and they're elected every 2 years, and the Senate, which was originally elected by the state legislatures, the members, serving 6 years with a sort of an anti-majoritarian feel to it, so that something that was just simply the result of fleeting passions of the voters would actually be stopped or slowed down in the Senate. That's going away. And if the Senate works on a simple majority vote, that's completely changed the scheme that the founders envisioned. And
so if you take advantage of this and you pack especially the D.C. Appeals Court with more liberal jurists, then what you have is a mechanism in place to protect many of the things that the Obama administration has done by executive order, by rule, and by regulation.
Well, the president wanted to put these judges on the court. Now, the president won, election, and then he got reelected. So he's going to make his mark on the courts. There's no doubt about that. Clearly, Democrats wanted to do this because the president has failed to pass a huge cap-and-trade bill. He's failed to pass an immigration reform. There are things that the president wants to do that he's going to do using his executive authority, no doubt stretching the limits of executive authority. That will result in lawsuits, and they're going to end up at the U.S. Court of Appeals for the District of Columbia, and that's where the president wants his judges.
Byron York's our guest from the Washington Examiner. Just a half an hour ago, we had Governor Scott Walker on, governor of Wisconsin. He is pushing his new book, and you know what this dance is like. You're a governor, and you're a year out from the primaries, and you've got a book. I know that you've talked to Iowa quite a bit about Marco Rubio, about Paul Ryan, about Chris Christie. What does Iowa think of Scott Walker?
There are a lot of Iowans who were very, very enthusiastic about Scott Walker. It was really interesting. A while back, I think it was Rand Paul made a trip to Iowa, got coverage all over the place, and Scott Walker came a couple of days later and got one national reporter there. So for a while he was flying below the radar. But I was just out at the Republican Governors Association meeting in Phoenix, And Republicans control 29 governorships around the country. They clearly want one of their own, a governor, to be the nominee for the party, presidential nominee for the party in 2016. You've got Christie, you've got Jindal, and you do have Walker as real serious candidates for this.
All right, so who do you see as the guy that emerges in all that? Is it Walker? Is it Christie? Is it somebody else?
Jindal's been pretty under the radar.
Yeah, Christie has a lot of momentum. I mean, there's no doubt about it. He has a lot of establishment types very much in his corner. He has really, really big money in New York, in New Jersey, that area in his corner. Scott Walker really is viewed as a dark horse in this, but voters like him, and he has done a lot of really good stuff from a Republican perspective in Wisconsin. He not only did it, he stood up, he was tested, there was a recall effort, and he defended what he had done. So they're completely different in temperaments. I mean, Scott Walker and Chris Christie. I mean,
yeah,
this is going to be something
you couldn't
where
have
voters,
two more different people.
Yeah. Well,
exactly. And the question is, will Christie really sell? Will that whole sort of Jersey persona, will that sell in Iowa? Will it sell in South Carolina? Perhaps Walker might wear a little better with those voters.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think Christie does have the momentum. When you get that much heft going pretty fast, it's pretty hard.
It
was
Byron, happy Thanksgiving.
Yeah,
stuffing
absolutely.
or dressing, Byron? Stuffing or dressing?
Great to be here, guys. Thank you.
He does.
Yeah, he doesn't want to get involved in that.
It's the controversy of